and you want to turn right, who do you yield to when you want to turn right?
Oncoming traffic.
And what would be the oncoming traffic if you're turning right?
If I'm turning right onto Highway 365, I'm looking to my left, making sure that I'm not pulling out in front of a car.
A car that's coming
northbound,
from the perpendicular
Yes,
travel.
correct.
Could you imagine a scenario in which you've got to yield to the person turning left in the direct oncoming traffic?
No.
You get up there in Hall County, travel down to Forsyth County, and you will see about 950 yield signs when you want to turn right. It's a big problem. We're trying to address it in this committee. Passively aggressively, by the way, we're trying to address it.
Are you telling me that there's a lot of our issues, a lot of traffic issues that seem to be trending just 3 to 5 years behind for South County?
Well, you need to stop this one. Don't
okay, all right.
Don't hire our engineers.
Well, I'll be passive aggressive too then.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we want to thank Winona for the work that she's done in prepping us for this meeting, and for all of you, those of you that are here. We are now working on the call it the big budget, and have a lot of good discussion and feedback that we've seen come over from the House and the Governor's office. We're going to hear today from DDS, Georgia Drivers Education Commission, and the Office of Highway Safety. Department of Transportation will have a stand-in because Commissioner McMurray is he in D.C.? Josh, you're here. He's up in D.C. hopefully getting us some more money to work on that dirt road. And then we'll hear from CERTA last. So we'll start with DDS. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome back. I think a lot of what's in your budget was a lot of the stuff we just talked about a couple weeks ago.
Right, it's mostly the same. And so in the interest of time, I will fly through this because you don't want to hear the same presentation over and over again. And so I have with me today Bob Griffin, who is a former CFO of ours, but he is currently Deputy Commissioner at Department of Driving Services. And then
Bob, where do you live?
I actually live in McDonough.
Okay. Do they put right turn yield signs at every intersection in McDonough?
Only on dirt roads.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Well, play your cards right in this committee, and those dirt roads won't last very long.
And then we also have Budget Director Stacy Cheek, and then our CFO Travis Kennedy is also here today with us. He's sitting down, and I understand some of your frustration, but mine is with the red arrow, because I always get harassed when I obey the law and just stay put when that red arrow.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff happening in these intersections. Now they're drawing these big X's in the road, as if you don't know you're not supposed to just park in the middle of an intersection.
Right.
They draw these big X's, and apparently if you lack the intelligence not to just stop, you'll notice an X underneath your car,
right,
and then not stop there. So a lot of weird stuff going on.
Right.
But
all right, so we've gone. Everyone's sort of seen this before. We have a lot of drivers. We have a lot of CDL drivers, mobile driver's license. We have other initiatives, 68 locations throughout the state where we serve people in all of these places that we've been talking about here today. So I'll get right to the budget. And we should be on page 1, I believe, of the
So give us line numbers, because we're probably going to have different pages than what you have.
Okay, so
I think we're probably 118.5.
We're 118, yes, 0.5, right. Well, 118.1 through 5. So you have adjustments for DOAS, GTA infrastructure. So those are sort of the DOAS amendments, but there's 118.3 adjustment for Georgia at Work projected expense, and that's $38,119. And then you have health benefit adjustment there at 118.4, but 118.5 we're asking for $150,000 for CDL federal mandate notifications. There are several federal mandates that have come down for commercial drivers, and we have to notify the commercial drivers about it. And so that notification expense is about $150,000.
And we just funded some of this in the amended. This is a separate
Right.
notification y'all got in
Right,
addition
and
to
it's
that one.
ongoing,
Okay.
ongoing projects. So let's see, we'll go to the next slide where we are still in our, well, we're now in our license issuance program. Page 2 of my track sheet, but line items 119.1 through 119.5. Again, we have some adjustments here, 119.1 and 119.2, but 119.3 is an increase for post-certified employer contribution, only asking for $4,326. Then we'll go down to line item 119.5 for armed guard services. We're asking for $150,000 and $426,000 for armed guard services. There's been an increase in those services, and this is to fund armed guards at only 5 of our 68 locations. So that would be Atlanta, Decatur, Savannah, Lithonia, Norcross.
And we talked about this last time as well. This is just kind of continuing the folks you currently have.
It is.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So on to the next slide. Still in our license issuance program, which is our largest program. Line item is page 3 on my track sheet, but line item 119.6, lease increases. We are asking for $159,865 for a 5% increase in our lease locations. And these are for 9 locations where the leases have increased. We are also asking for, on line item 119.7, $185,000 for GTA security services and infrastructure. So this is just to make sure our cybersecurity health is intact. Line item 119.
Can I ask you a quick question on that? Are you all fully integrated into GTA, or are you doing any of your own internal cyber? Or are you essentially using them for all of your cyber?
Well, we're on the enterprise with them.
Okay.
We do have in-house IT and an in-house cybersecurity unit. And so they just make sure that we're all up to date. They do all the testing.
Because I think, Josh, we can come back to this later, but I think there's y'all are not fully kind of integrated into GTA's world. There's one more year. We can talk about that when y'all get there, but that's okay. Thank you.
Okay. And line item 119.8, personal services due to decreased turnover. We're asking for $2.3 million for that. And that's line item 119.8.
We cheered y'all up on that in the amended budget already, and
Yes.
this will then capture that again.
All right, next slide. Increased card production, line 119.9. We're not asking for any additional funds in this budget. We probably will have to probably ask for those funds in the amended, just because we want to be exact as we can, and it's sort of hard to do unless we have the numbers to be able to more accurately project the amount that we'll need. Next slide, our regulatory compliance program is page 4 of my track sheet. But line items 120.1 through 120.3, and these are all adjustments for DOAS insurance program, for GTA infrastructure, reduction in state health benefit plan. And that is it for us. Thank you. Any questions you might have or
No
comments?
kiosks this year. Y'all are good on those, and
We're good on those. Those are working really well. The ones that we have, we're heavily utilizing those. Customers really like those. They like to be able to take their own pictures, and so I wouldn't like that myself, but they seem to enjoy that. So
Great.
those are pretty successful for us. So thank you for assisting
Absolutely.
with that in previous years.
any questions from the committee? All right,
I'm happy
thank
to
y'all.
take questions. Thank you.
Yes, Senator again.
Thank you. Commissioner, appreciate you being here. I look at my driver's license, and I have a CDL, and it's got a lot of color on it, color picture, this kind of stuff. I was sitting beside one of my colleagues the other day, and she had her license out, and it was all black and white. What's
yeah.
going on with that?
It's probably almost time for you to renew.
Yeah?
Yes. So in 2019, we switched over to a new card vendor, new card design, which is what DMVs do from time to time for security reasons. You add new security features. And so that black and white picture is actually laser engraved. So it's not a layered or laminated type picture. It's actually laser. So that's why that picture is black and white. My own license, which I just renewed this year, had that color that yours has, but it was time to renew. And then, so I now have the one with that same picture, but it's black and white, and that's because it's laser engraved. I do think now technology is to the point where some card vendors can do the laser picture in color, but at the time in 2019, it had to be black and white.
I know it's more representative of what you're looking at as far as identifying somebody with the color
Oh, yeah.
picture.
Well, you
and,
can-
and I'm kind of
yeah.
disappointed that
Yeah.
you've gone to
Well, it's
old
actually-
technology.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, it's newer.
You're gonna
because
say it's new.
laser.
You got but black and white pictures were long over here before
But I could-
color photos.
You know, I will say I was skeptical because
Look,
I was
I've been
general-
watching Perry Mason
Yeah.
for a long time in black and white.
I was skeptical because at the time I was general counsel, and I'm thinking, yeah, same thing you're thinking, right? But when you actually look at the quality of the picture, same features are there, the skin tones, all that. You can see that because of the way it's laser engraved. But yeah, so good for pointing that out, though. Now
thank
we
you.
could, we can always upgrade and change, but it costs money.
Y'all quit spending money. We're done. We're done.
Right.
All right.
you.
Thank you.
We've got the Georgia Drivers Education Commission. Josh Turner.
Yes, I do.
Josh, where do you live?
I live in the great city of Cleveland, Georgia.
Cleveland, Georgia. A little further north of Chairman Eccles. Y'all don't have right turn yield signs up there, do you?
Mr. Chairman, we have a right turn yield sign with a crossways flashing yellow, flashing yellow left, which creates a lot of confusion.
Yeah. So if you're turning left, you got a flashing yellow.
Yes, sir.
You then have to look for the back of a yield sign that you can't see that's facing the oncoming person that's turning right to figure out whether they're going to wait for you to go or not.
That's right.
What's happening in this world, Josh? Chairman Eccles, do you weigh in on this?
I was just wondering who the mayor is in Cleveland.
I hear he's a great guy.
Who is the mayor of Cleveland?
Josh Turner.
Have we got a mayor sitting in front of us? When did you get elected?
I was elected during the COVID pandemic in 2020.
Fantastic. How do you like it?
I'm enjoying it. Love
You
it.
rule with an iron fist up there. What's your structure like? You got a city council?
We have a city council and a city manager, and we get a lot of things done.
What number are you on over there? I want to get the input from the former mayor. So you don't vote? You ever vote?
I cast tie-breaking votes.
Okay. You tell your city council how to vote?
I don't.
No?
No.
I heard that happens sometimes, those mayors. What you got for us today?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring to you just a little background on what we do, because it's been a while since we have come before this committee. So just our Drivers Education Commission administers the Georgia Drivers Education Grant Scholarship Program. The scholarship is available to eligible students who want to complete a 30-hour classroom training and 6-hour behind-the-wheel driver's education course. They are awarded monthly to the students between the ages of 15 and 17-year-olds who possess a valid driver's license or an instruction permit. They are enrolled in school, and they meet household income eligibility requirements, which is currently 175% of the free and reduced lunch level for the state of Georgia. We also give priority to students who are the child or dependent of a Georgia first responder who's been killed or disabled in the line of duty, to students whose parent or guardian was killed in action in military service, and also students who are under care and custody of the state of Georgia through DFACS. In 2025, we had 8,417 applicants, and we awarded 6,552 scholarships, and of those, just over 5,500 of them were redeemed at a value representing $2,627,000 paid through the scholarship program throughout the state of Georgia. Bring your attention to line 273.4. This is an increase of $2,018,943. Now, our commission is funded on a 3% surcharge on traffic citations. And this surcharge is the difference between the amount that was estimated and the actual collections for fiscal year 2025. If you continue to appropriate these funds, we'll be able to train about 4,000 additional students in FY27 than we did in FY25. This is at about 10,000 students annually. So pretty simple. That's my presentation. I asked the other items in our section are the standard DOAS changes. And yield for any questions.
Thanks. All right, Mr. Mayor. Any questions from the committee? Drew, you got any kids coming up to driver age?
I got a 22-year-old. I'm trying to get her off my insurance, and the other one, he just got him one of those real IDs a couple months ago. He's pretty proud of that.
There you
so,
go.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for what you all do, and I don't think you have any questions, so thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here today.
Appreciate
Good luck on your drive home. You drive home every day from here?
Of course.
How long does that take?
Depends on what time I leave. I normally leave.
So you've got a unique opportunity. I'll give you this opportunity. You got some powerful people in the room behind you, not in front of you. What's the most important transportation need up in your neck of the woods?
We have a major paving project coming through downtown and some drainage infrastructure that needs improved in our downtown square.
So a little bit of maybe some LMIG money or some additional.
These are on state routes,
Oh.
so I'm hoping that state funding would pay for those.
All right. Josh, you got that? You take notes? All right. There you go. All right. Who do we have today? GDOT. Got a new man. Tell us about yourself.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Andrew Heath. I have the pleasure of serving as the Deputy Commissioner for Georgia DOT.
Have you ever been on the cover of a magazine?
I have not been on the cover of a magazine, no,
You
sir.
have not. That's something that happens over there at DOT, I hear. When you
yeah?
rise through the ranks, you get on the cover of
I
a
believe
magazine.
I've seen Commissioner McMurray on a magazine or two over the years.
Yes, I have an autographed copy. It's hanging in my office. When y'all get that image, let me know. You said it was Andrew?
Yeah, and
We want to show Andrew this photo when we get it. But in the meantime, welcome.
thank you.
Did you hear about this dirt road over here?
I wrote it
Think we
down.
work on that? Okay.
That's right. Have some detailed questions for you.
Why don't you walk us through your budget?
Yeah, well, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on behalf of Commissioner McMurray. As you mentioned earlier, the commissioner is up in D.C. this week doing some very important work, supporting AASHTO and a number of other organizations at the national level, and certainly appreciate his work that he's doing on behalf of the state of Georgia up there. I do just want to take a quick moment to thank the work of this committee and the amended FY26 budget. As passed, the historic levels of investment that were infused into the GDOT budget to deliver some critical transportation infrastructure across the state, just specifically calling out, again, additional investment into the local roads program for cities and counties at no match, just to, again, advance those projects that are so critical for local communities.
Can I jump in on that for a second? Because
Absolutely.
I do want to highlight that. So
Yeah.
I said this in the I'm not sure if you were there or not, but in the baby budget meeting that we had, I think that certainly in the re-election for Governor Kemp, his navigating the state through COVID was what the people really recognized kind of as the marquee, I think, hallmark of his first term. In my opinion, one of the things that will go on in his legacy throughout the duration of the next really decade is that multi-billion-dollar investment that he made, and now 3 years in a row. And so obviously all those projects won't be built out by the time he's out of office, and frankly a lot of us may be out of office by the time, certainly by the time those are fully up and running and helping citizens. And so it's my opinion that the second term of the Kemp administration, among other things, will go down as one of the hallmarks will be the infrastructure investment that was made to really help continue to move the state forward. I think the challenge of the General Assembly moving forward, and as well as whatever administration comes next, is how we do that in a sustainable way. because we're not always going to have budget surpluses sitting there that we can tap into in the amended budget and just pour billions of dollars in. But this is my 4th year now looking at this area of the budget closely, and the motor fuel number hasn't changed, but costs have. And so we have, I think, a number of good revenue streams that exist today that without raising taxes, we could really continue that investment into infrastructure in the years to come. So I know that y'all are going to continue to work with the legislature on that, but that is something for the members of the Senate that will be here next year. It's something I think that we need to continue to think about. Sorry for the interruption.
No, I just, if I may, very quickly, 100% agree with everything you just said. I mean, over the last 3 years, upwards of almost $5 million of additional investment. I mean, just absolutely incredible to do that. In my personal opinion, the correlation between transportation investment and economic growth, quality of life, is positively correlated very closely. And so ensuring that Georgia is always on that trajectory is very important. We at GDOT are going to ensure we do our part to deliver for the state of Georgia. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I believe you guys have a presentation that we distributed. So just very quickly, I do on slide number 2 on that. I just want to touch on the federal transportation funding front. Commissioner McMurray mentioned this as we were talking about the amended budget just last month. Earlier in the year, we were operating under a continuing resolution, which at the federal level, which was of concern to us. If operating under a continuing resolution, we receive funding from the federal government in a prorated fashion. Thank you. No, we didn't. We just have hard copies. Yeah. You're fine. So a full years of appropriation at the federal level is extremely important. And back in February, Congress did pass a minibus, which included full funding for USDOT and surface transportation. So that is in place, which is obviously very important to us so that we can continue our letting schedule and letting cycle as we typically do. That, again, as a reminder, that constitutes about $1.5 to $1.6 billion in federal aid funding, which we then utilize state motor fuels to match and draw down that money for projects. But now our attention, and one of the reasons Commissioner McMurray is in D.C. this week, is now on reauthorization. The existing federal authorizing legislation, the IIJA, expires in September 30th of this year. So we are engaged with Congress, engaged with organizations at the national level to try to see reauthorization through so that we can continue to have and advance surface transportation at the national level. So just wanted to mention that's consuming a lot of conversation again across industry nationally. So next slide 3 shows the revenue comparison for FY27 related to the FY26 base. Just sort of stepping down that table, you can see the excise estimate has increased by about $135 million, bringing that to $2.61 billion for FY27. Transportation trust fund fees are based off of FY25 collections, increasing by $15.5 million. Those are the EV, heavy vehicle, and motel fees that constitute that line item. Transit Trust Fund increasing by about $3.8 million. Those are the ride share fee component up to about $41.8. And then state general funds increasing by $5.5 to $50.7. And that line item there, that increase has an addition and some deducts in there, which I'll get through in a couple slides here. But that brings the revenue for FY27 up to $2.95 billion. So that's slide 3 there. Turning to slide 4, this is our 27 request summary, breaking this out, how that is broken out by program. As you can see, the largest program by far is the capital projects. That's our capital construction, capital maintenance, and local roads program. $1.55 billion, that is 53% of the budget. Routine maintenance, that's everything we do just from a day-to-day perspective to take care of our roadways and bridges on a daily basis. $596 million, that's 20%. General operations, that's our administration, data collection, planning, program delivery, and traffic management at $308 million, just around 10%. LMIG, as a reminder, is then 10% of excise as required by statute. That's $261.2 million, so 10% of the budget there. Intermodal, that's our ports, waterways, rail, aviation, transit, $107 million at 3%, and then bond debt at 3%, and then 3% at $96.2 million, and payments to CERTA and the ATL at 1% or less. So that's just a summary of the budget across programs. Moving to slide 5, in more detail by each program. I'm not going to touch on all of these, and we've sort of highlighted the sections we'd like to touch on unless you guys have questions on any of these. I'm certainly happy to answer those questions. But just looking at first highlighted category there is airport aid. We do have an increase of about $9.98 million. As the big budget came out of the House, there was a increase added of $10 million to that program. That $10 million will allow us to do additional airport aid projects across the state, supporting our airports through those funds. And then there's a slight deduct, bringing it down to just about 9.98 as part of the employer contribution reduction for the state health benefit plan. So that's the difference between the 10 and what you see there. On capital construction, an increase of $112.8 million. That is going to allow us to advance projects or maintain projects where they are, so essentially providing additional capacity to deliver transportation for citizens of the state. So you see the money going into that program. LMIG is increasing by $13.5 million. Again, that maintains the 10% component of the budget for that program. You see local roads going down by $5.5 million. What that is essentially a fall off of one-time funding that was included in FY26. There were 2 projects that were in the FY26 budget for one-time funding. Those are then falling off of that program. So moving to slide 6, a few other programs that we've highlighted here. Beginning with the rail program, you can see an increase of about $1.4 million in the rail program. There's 2 components to that. One is a deduct of about $1.3 million for a reduction in locomotive diesel fees. So that's the real collections reflected there that caused that deduct. And then an add, as this moved out of the House, of $2.5 million for congestion relief on some congested rail lines supporting the inland ports here in the state. So that nets out to about that $1.4 million. On the routine maintenance, again, that's everything that goes into taking care of our roads on a day-to-day basis. An increase of $33.5 million for increased contracting and material costs associated with those activities. Traffic management has an increase of $4.4 million. Traffic management, that program is a lot of our signal management programs, how we maintain our freeway and arterial operations. That increase, $4.4 million, is going to cover increased contracting costs associated with those activities. So staffing our transportation management center, where you dial 511 and you can talk to a live operator, those activities. That increase is going to cover the increased costs associated with that program. And then finally, a increase in the transit program of about $4.4 million. There's 2 components to that. One is an increase, again, of the transit trust fund, as I mentioned in the revenue comparison slide, the 3.8. So that's the rideshare fee component of that. And then $500,000 out of the transportation trust fund going into that program. And what we are able to do through that program is to fund small urban and rural transit providers for their transit activities in delivering capital projects associated with those agencies across the state for transit needs. So, Mr. Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Got at least one question here from Senator Ginn.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yep.
I know the department's always goes back in history on what things happen, and I know my first local government, it was kind of interesting. We had an intersection of State Route 17 and US 29, and the department came to the city and said, y'all got to pay for the communications and the power bill for this intersection at 2 state highways. And I thought to myself, I said, well, why is that? And I've seen that happen, for different places. And I'm like, explain to me why it is that the local government would be paying for communications and power cost in an intersection with 2 state highways. Now I can understand if it's a city street and there's a city involvement, city portion of that. But I've always wondered why is that?
So there's multiple scenarios that can play into that. And a lot of that is going to depend on who owns that the ownership of that traffic signal, and then the maintenance responsibility for that traffic signal. So typically signals that are associated with development. So when you see real estate development coming and a signal is requested, we would then look, for the locals to support the O&M cost of that. If it's on a state route and it's part of a project that GDOT has delivered, then it would be GDOT ownership. But I'm not familiar with that specific situation.
I guarantee Ms. Whitworth is. The 29 and the 17 bypass around Royston. Yes. It wasn't spurred on by Walmart or anything, right. That. It was just an intersection. I was like,
yeah.
I've always wondered. I said, how does that translate? The still, where you have 2 state routes. I just wondered. It's always one of those things. I don't know whether you have to yield to the right or not, but
Very good.
Any other questions? Everybody's good. Thank y'all. Send our best to Russell. We'll want a full report on how his latest photo shoot's going up there. I'm sure that's what he's working on. It's next whatever the next magazine is going to be.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Is Janine hiding behind that column over there? Staying out of the line of fire. It's probably wise.
I did lean over to see Andrew nodding his head about the multi-billion-dollars worth of investments.
There you go. So since we've been here last, have you become a mayor or anything else? You've got like 9 jobs.
I've not gotten any new jobs. I do volunteer for the Department of Economic Development from time to time, but they have not called me recently.
Gotcha. You stay around here too long, you might get another one.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm impressed. You got these other people that are staying in the room. Janine must have a lot to tell.
Well, they just know influence when they see it, which is a good transition to Senator Anderson. Senator Anderson, you're on 5 over there. I've given everybody else the opportunity. I think you did this one time, but remind me what the most important transportation project is. I-20 East, got the interchange going in down there. Just keep it going. Just keep it going. There you go.
That was a very wise investment, $800 million investment in that interchange. Overdue. Mm-hmm. In fact, ATRI, which is the American Trucking Association's Research Institute, has that interchange as one of the worst bottlenecks for trucks in the country, and that's in the past. We're going to get off that list for that interchange. We're excited about that. All right. Thank you, Chairman. Members of the committee, I appreciate the time to talk with you today. There are many logos on this slide, and I'm going to go in that order. And in the interest of time, I'll go quickly, but I'll pause for questions and, of course, questions.
Senator Advitarte is working on less logos on that slide, but that's a different committee.
Oh, okay.
That we're working on.
Good to know.
Yeah. That might be next week.
It's all important work. The infrastructure bank at CERTA is, I think, the most simplest thing to get started with, so we'll do that. Since the infrastructure bank was started back in 2009, we've had a total of $244 million of grants and loans that leveraged local and private investment of $1.2 billion. So that is an incredible contribution to transportation, local transportation projects around the country, including more than $50 million to rural projects. CIDs have also benefited significantly from the infrastructure bank grants and loans, 52 awards so far in the history of the program, leveraging a total of $407 million of project value. So we've been able to partner with our business communities to build great transportation infrastructure that supports economic development. Last year, in the amended 2025 budget, there was a one-time plus-up of $46 million, as you may recall. That is over our base budget of $16.5 million. Because of that additional amended appropriation, we were able to allocate $10 million additional last year. Program high of loans, $15.5 million, and a program high of rural awards, $13.3 million. There is the list of projects. It really does go around the state. For the first time ever, part of that appropriation was intended to go to airports, $7.5 million for airport hangars. So we have, as of about a month ago, we closed the application window because we wanted to move these dollars as soon as we could to good projects, important projects. Got 34 applications requesting a total of $51 million. Only 2 of those projects were airport hangar applications. We followed very closely with the recommendations that came out of GDOT's intermodal office for airport hangars as a recommended for a revolving loan program. We think because it's such a new program, that's why we only got 2 applications, and we're considering opening up another round to avail that and market and publish that a little bit more. But so far, the applications that we've gotten, half of them are from rural areas. So we're excited about that. We're also excited that 15 are either loan only or grant and loan only. So that's the 12 plus 3 there. That's almost half of the requests have a loan component. Our interest rates are very, very low. They align with GFA's loans for water infrastructure. So it is, considering the cost of construction and how that goes up over time, this is a great value for our local governments, even with a loan. So we're looking forward to reviewing those applications and awarding those this summer at the latest. On to GRETA, Georgia Regional Transportation Authority. Our budget at GRETA is rolled in with the State Road and Tollway Authority. You can see the top line there, operations for GRETA. That is simply to review developments of regional impact. What those developments of regional impact are: private investments predominantly, vertical construction, and those developments of regional impact happen all over the state by the regional commissions, but in the metropolitan Atlanta region only, there's a transportation review of those developments to make sure that we're not going to load up additional cars, undo traffic onto our roadways. That $365,000 a year supports that those operations, really, it's reviews of DRIs. And collaboration with the local governments and private sector. We are very, very intentional about the work that we do, keeping it on schedule, because we do not want any of our work to delay private sector investment and getting their construction underway so those facilities can become operational. We are requesting, in the governor's budget as well as the House budget included $625,000 additional dollars of transportation trust fund. These are not state general funds. For the other statutory work that GRETA does, that we currently do not have employees to do that work. And I'm going to explain what the rationale for that is. You may have heard of a company called INRIX. They're a global transportation data company. Every year they publish their congestion report of congestion, hours of delay, hours lost to traffic in cities across the world. Atlanta, in the most recent report in the fall, was listed as number 16th in the world and number 7th in the U.S. Our traffic grew from 2023 to 2025, third most increase in traffic. The two cities that were ahead of us in traffic growth were Baltimore and Philadelphia. These are not cities you would think of as having worsening traffic. They have bad traffic, but it actually got worse and worse than ours because of some very one-time events. As you may recall, the unfortunate collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. That is attributable to their rise in traffic delay since 2023. Philadelphia also was impacted by that. Some of the freight that was going into the Port of Baltimore went up to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia also, their transit system called SEPTA, had some safety issues that took more than 200 of their train cars offline for several months, almost a year-long event. So were it not for those two sort of unicorn events in those cities, Atlanta would have had the worst traffic growth in the country from 2023. Our drivers in Metro Atlanta lost 75 hours last year, $1,400 of cost and delay per person. That's 50% higher than the national average. In case you haven't driven around Metro Atlanta and seen the traffic, others now see it, and it's showing up in data and reports and top 20 lists we don't want to be on. This is what it looks like from a view of our roadways individually. On the left, red and green. From 2019 to 2025, if the road is in red, it got worse in that 6-year window. If the road is in green, it has less traffic. Just the severity of those changes are on the right. The more congested and more increases in growth. I think you'll see there 285 in DeKalb County there at I-20, recognize that, as well as in Cobb and Henry counties. This is in the middle of the day. Traffic got worse, this much worse, in the middle of the day, because the population of the city of Newark, not Newark itself, but the population equivalent of the city of Newark, moved to Atlanta in that period of time. We have transportation challenges we've not yet seen in the past several decades. These are the board members of Greta. They oversee they are delegated the review and approval of Atlanta Regional Commission's Transportation Improvement Plan. You can see here, these are businessmen, representatives of the business community through CIDs and chambers, as well as locally elected officials. In fact, our board chair is a recent inductee to the Georgia Trend Board of Trustees of the state of Georgia, Sunny Daraso. They are entrusted to review the TIP. The TIP is the Transportation Improvement Program that is named in federal law. That is not something we came up with here. It's a 4-year spending plan for Metro Atlanta. The most recent TIP has a $10.5 billion investment out of a long-range plan of $90 billion of investment. It is critical that we work with GDOT and the Atlanta Regional Commission to make sure that these investments have the best impact, the most effective allocation of public dollars to address these traffic conditions. In fact, it's not just cars that sit in traffic, as I alluded to earlier. What you see here is one of ARC's charts that shows how the intensity of freight industrial development is impacting our corridors' traffic congestion. So we work with the ARC to make sure things like these heat maps are addressed through the Transportation Improvement Program. And I say we work with them. We are doing that with reserve dollars that we had left over from years and years and years ago. As we enter the challenge of addressing the traffic congestion, we require staff to continue this work. Otherwise, the transportation plans cannot be ensured of effectiveness. So before I go on to the ATL, I wonder if there's any questions about that budget request.
I don't see any questions.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, lastly, ATL. There is no change recommended by the governor or the House to the state appropriation of transportation trust funds to the ATL, remaining at $9.2 million. But I wanted to bring to your attention that we have followed the directive that we heard from the General Assembly through Appropriations Committee work and through the appropriations bills that were passed and signed by the governor. In FY25 in the state appropriations, there was a $4 million reduction in Express. instructing us to develop an operational plan that downsized commuter service commensurate with multi-county transit demand and enact it in 2025, and we did that. I'll show you graphics on that later, but we have implemented a new service plan that has an increase of 96%. That's almost a doubling of the utilization. Number of people in seats, empty seats were cut in half, essentially, by the work that we did, and we saved that $4 million and other monies as well. We were also instructed to reduce funds to reflect efficiencies in commuter bus in coordination with local transit providers. So for the first time ever, both Cobb and Gwinnett County are collaborating with us. We are in mutual arrangements with private partner to provide the service, but it is all unified under ATL Express, again with contributions from Cobb and Gwinnett County, now equaling $3 million a year. So we wanted to also compare how we're doing nationwide with our express service. In 2019, the industry average utilization, people in seats, people in available seats, was 28%. In express, we were beating that by 39%. After COVID, that ridership plummeted nationwide. And this year, we are now at 51% of our seats are full. The national average, we don't know what that is yet, but I can guarantee you there is not one that I know of, one commuter service that has done the rigor and the intensity to right-size our service for the dollars and provide the public value that we do. You may recognize this. I saw this when I took over as executive director 3 years ago, that service was not being utilized during COVID times, fiscal 2021. Our ridership was 1/10 of that it was before COVID, and it climbed back slowly, but not sufficiently enough. Still not enough people in our seats. Fast forward to today with the new service levels we implemented last summer, and our seats are full. Not full on every bus like it is here. These are at the peak hours. We have right-sized the service for the demand, and we're excited to report that. As I said, here in the yellow box, although we've increased our utilization by 96% or almost doubling, we did that by reducing trips 37%, and we still have daily boardings are increasing. That is a one-way trip. 96% of our trips are for work and school, and 42% of our riders don't have easy access to a car to get to that job or school opportunity. So it's truly a value.
So I know that before we put that language in there last year, there was the daily subsidy per rider was around $80. Is it $88? 80 something, right?
Yes, can I get to the next slide?
You got another slide
Because
coming?
I knew
All
that
right.
was coming,
Perfect.
Chairman.
Got it.
Wanted to share with you what the subsidy numbers look like today. During COVID, this is fiscal 2021, because there were so few people in our buses, so few people paying fares, and we kept the service running as we had previously. We had a lot of funds coming in from federal sources, CARES Act and others. Our subsidy had reached $277 per person per day. So since
I
then,
want to pause on that because
Yes.
this is shocking.
it is shocking.
We were
Yeah.
paying 200 and by we, that's state and then federal.
State and federal.
Okay.
State and
So the state portion was $111 is what we were paying for every rider to get on a bus
during COVID.
for a day during COVID. Okay.
Because we had such few riders.
Yep.
And we didn't.
We're running the same routes, treating it as if it's normal.
Same
Nobody's
schedules.
riding these things, and so obviously the cost per person went sky high.
Et cetera. Yep. Fiscal 2023 is when I came in as executive director, and the state share of the subsidy was $44.65, a total of $103. Since that height down to fiscal 2025, the year that is in the books, our state share of costs has gone down by 80%, and from fiscal 2023 to fiscal 2026. From when I started to today, our budget today, state subsidy has decreased by 47%.
And this is a function, the two things you just outlined is not just that you are changing routes to optimize routes, but then you're also seeing ridership increase. Is that, in your best estimation, is that because these routes are not optimized to where they're actually serving where people need to go when they need to go there?
That's exactly right.
Okay. I think Senator
did
Gill
a-
may have had, did you have a question on this kind of general topic? Okay, go ahead.
If you back up just a little bit, back to
Yes, sir.
page 13, and when I look at your number and you're saying 51%, so if I stopped a bus and there's 100 seats on the bus, 51 of them going to have a butt in them?
Yes, and it's probably more like 52 seats with 26 people on average. So
Yeah.
the early and really late departures will have less than that, and then at the peak we'll have a higher percentage.
And
Peak,
on,
like rush hour.
on all the people that are riding buses, so you probably don't pick them up right where they work, and you probably don't drop them off right wherever they're living. So how do they get that distance between where you're picking them up and where you're dropping them off? How do they move, whatever that may be? It may be, I don't know if it's miles or feet or what, but
That's a great question. So for their origin in the morning, where they live, most of our riders will either drive or get a ride to the park and ride lots that you see here, and we have 20 of them left. We decreased our park and ride lots significantly as part of our cost reduction strategy and right sizing of the service strategy. So that decrease is predominantly in the leased park and ride lots that we paid leases on an annual basis. The cost of leasing, we've decreased by 77%. So the park and ride lots that remain are predominantly the ones that we own. So people will drive, park, or get a ride to the park and ride lots. When they get dropped off, they're either getting dropped off at a MARTA station, right at the station or within very close walking distance to a MARTA station where you see the MARTA flag there, or in downtown and midtown. We make stops along the way in downtown and midtown, so it's very close, within a few blocks of their destination in the morning.
okay, thank you.
Let's see. Wanted to make sure I covered everything. I think it's also important to note that we do pay our share of road user fee. We pay gas tax to the state, 37 cents a gallon. So we're contributing to the Transportation Trust Fund that funds the ride itself.
Wow.
All right.
Let's just do two.
That concludes my
I got a question
presentation.
from Senator Eccles.
Yes, sir.
Is that,
Recognized.
those last numbers, that $24 and $22 split, is that getting closer to like a southeastern average with other large metros? Or I don't know what it's supposed to look like. I mean, if you would have told me the 277 coming in here today, I would have scratched my head, but I would have been like, okay. What does it look like?
Right. That's a great question, and I don't have that benchmark for you, but we'll do that. We can do that research. It is what you can see here, the letters in parentheses, NTD, National Transit Database. So the latest audited figures available are for fiscal 24 nationwide.
Okay.
So we'd be comparing before our express downsizing to other areas. So it'll be another year at least before we can get unaudited data and compare how well we're doing now. Because like I said, this type of reduction has not been done anywhere
I
else in the
commend you
country.
for bringing it down, obviously. I just was curious. I mean, because the whole entire southeastern United States is Florida and South Carolina,
Yeah.
places in North Carolina is exploding, so I would
That's
like
right.
to know where we were ranking in there.
We'll definitely take a look at that, and then we can also view online what sort of service changes they might have done. Like I said, I don't think they've done service changes, and so they probably still have the same level of service that they're providing, even if their buses are getting full. One thing we know that happens is, with the 20-plus years experience we have with Express, is when the gas prices go up, ridership goes up. So we're anticipating that will happen again.
Interesting. Gotcha. I saved the best for last strategically in terms of important construction projects, knowing who I'd be speaking to. Back in 2014, Forsyth County took out a $200 million bond. And I think it's pretty unique that any county did that. And we paid 80% of the cost to widen Georgia 400. We paid for a bulk of the cost for the 369 interchange out of that bond money. And the most important project that we have is the widening of Georgia 400, really from kind of the county line up through the county. And we would love for those not to be toll lanes, at least on the fourth lane. So we essentially have like 2.2 state-funded lanes. And then we have like 80% local funded lanes. And then when the next lanes come, we'd like those to be a little bit heavier state mix. But Sydney, do you have that photo? check this out, Miss Miller. I want to show you something. And Joseph Santor, you're going to be shocked when you see this. I know that you make your way up to Forsyth County every now and then, but when she gets this photo, y'all are going to, Andrew, I need you to pay attention to this too. Y'all think I'm crazy, but
Sorry, I probably reached.
so you're going to be seeing here, we're going to get that scaled down. So this is in a left turn lane.
Uh-oh.
And if I would yield to that car that's coming, right? Because he's and I would yield to a car turning right, coming from the opposite lane of traffic as well. But for over there by all those little power lines, you can't see it. Nobody can see it. But there's a yield sign for that guy turning right.
I do see a triangle in the fading in the distance.
Yeah, like if you get your binoculars out and you kind of look real quick, you can see it. But like we're disrupting the normal flow of traffic in a ridiculous way, and this left turn yield person should have to yield to all oncoming traffic. But the right turn guy is going to stop, and the left turn guy is not going to know if he's going to stop. So I'm going down the list. Santora, I'm down to you to see maybe if you can do something to help us figure this out, because I've been waiting all session.
Are there letters that go along with this? Andrew, is it the MUTCD?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to see if there's an island there.
There's no island, Andrew. See, I've done a deep dive on this. The MUTCD would say you should have an island, but like our engineers up there roll into this like engineering discretion, and it is crazy. If you, and in all seriousness, if you do think about it, like it creates this incredibly unpredictable scenario where I don't know whether I should turn left or not. I'm going to yield, but in reality, the guy turning right is going to stop, and he's going to wait, and then I've got to figure out why he's stopping. Then I can all of a sudden go. And this is 8 years for me in the Senate, and I'm just like down to my last straw of trying to get it figured out. So.
Typically, you would expect the sign when there's a channelized island and nearby.
Could you come to the microphone and say that, and I can send it to some folks back home? To the folks back home, he's telling you that this is engineered wrong, and we need to change it up. Thank you all. I think there's no more questions here, so we're going to be adjourned. Thank you all for being here. We'll
Chairman, members of the committee.
green doors tomorrow for those of you that watch this stuff. Green doors tomorrow and Sunday, and we'll have a budget out pretty soon. Thank you.